Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about Todd Bowles' defense and how in some ways this is nearing some of the best defense in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history, and in some ways, it's the worst defense in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. Because look, I know, people have said I'm unfair, I have a bias against Todd Bowles. I really don't. But, I've been critical of Todd Bowles this year, so I wanted to dive into it, the overall historical context of where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are as a team this year in terms of their defense and how it stacks up against the overall franchise as a whole. Okay? So right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 44 sacks as a team. Now that's currently 8th most in team history. That's pretty good. 11 are from the outside linebackers, by the way. That's not good, but they need 3 more sacks to get 4th in terms of team sacks in team history, and they need 4 more team sacks in their final game of the year with 1 game left of the season for 2nd most team sacks in the entire franchise's history. I believe the franchise record is 55. I don't think they're getting 11 sacks in their final game of the year. That'd be great, but I don't think that's going to be possible. But getting 3 or 4 in the final game of the year is certainly obtainable. So in terms of overall sack numbers, generating hits, getting after the quarterback, that's been something that the Bucs have been able to do, at least on paper. Now, some people are going to look at consistency and timing of those sacks and whatnot, but I mean, the numbers do speak in terms of getting sacks, getting the quarterback down. Currently 8th most in the team history. That's good, in my opinion. In terms of passing yards allowed, though, and this is where people start to say, hey, the secondary's not great, they've allowed 3,957 passing yards this year. That's the 10th most in team history, okay? If they allow 212 passing yards in their final game against the Saints, that'll bump them all the way up to 4th most passing yards allowed in team history. And a lot of people are going to point to injuries in the secondary, injuries in the linebacker room and whatnot, and I agree with that. I'm just giving you guys the numbers here in terms of where they are. Right now, the Buccaneers, with 1 game left, have allowed the 10th most passing yards in team history. If they allow 212 yards against the New Orleans Saints, that'll bump them all the way up to the 4th most passing yards allowed in team history. Here's the big one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense this year has only gotten 7 interceptions this year, guys. 7. I was shocked whenever I saw that number, by the way. Here's how it breaks down. 2 by Zion McCollum, 2 by Tyke Smith, 1 by Levante David, 1 by Jamel Dean, 1 by Christian Izien, folks. That is the least amount of interceptions by a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team in franchise history, folks. The least amount of interceptions by a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team in franchise history, guys. This is the 49th season of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're approaching its 50th season. 7 interceptions. That is the least amount of interceptions in franchise history right now. If they can get 2 interceptions in that final game against the New Orleans Saints, they will be tied at that point for the least amount of interceptions in a team's history, in a season in franchise history here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But right now, 2024 Bucs, they're in sole possession of the lowest amount of interceptions by a defense in team history. That's bad. That's really, 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 really bad, okay? Now, is that a knock on the D? And that just kind of shows the knock on the defense of not being able to make plays. Now, is that execution? I think so. I mean, I don't think necessarily you can scheme up interceptions most of the time, but it does just go to show in terms of getting takeaways in the form of interceptions. Bucs couldn't buy one this year. The Bucs could not buy an interception this year, and it's actually worst in team history. Now, on the flip side, in terms of rushing yards, the Buccaneers have allowed 1,599 rushing yards this year. That's actually the 11th best in the team's history. That's not bad, in my opinion. That's not really been a concern this year for most things. You take a look at it, it's actually one of the better rushing defenses in this team's history. Kudos to the defense for that. I think that that is a fantastic, fantastic thing to see. Finally, the Buccaneers have allowed 366 total points this year. That is 19th most in team history. If they allow 23 points to the New Orleans Saints here in this final game of the season, that will bump them all the way up to 12th most points allowed in team history. So it's a mixed bag, right? It's a mixed bag because on one hand, you have the sack numbers, and that looks fantastic. You have the rushing yards, and that looks fantastic in terms of the rushing defense, in terms of sacking the quarterback. Passing defense, not good. Passing interceptions, abysmal. Their ability to get interceptions, absolutely abysmal, right? There's no other way to put it. It's absolutely abysmal. I want to see, and apologies for me not being prepared, but I want to see takeaways. I want to see the takeaways for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how many team takeaways has a defense had this year. I don't necessarily know if we're going to be able to find that metric. Maybe not. Maybe not. It looks like we might not be able to. We can get safeties. We can get all these different types of things. I don't necessarily know if we are going to be able to get advanced defense. Here we go. Maybe this can help us. No, probably not. Unfortunate. But point being is that this defense, while they've had some good metrics, they've also had some bad metrics as well. Is the defense better than we are giving it credit for? I'm going to let you guys decide on that. I think in some ways, obviously, yes, but in some ways, obviously, no. Right? And that's just in some ways, they are one of the better Bucs defenses in team history. In other ways, they are literally the worst Bucs defense in team history. And it's just the mind-numbing confusion of what this defense has been this year. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about some of these numbers that I've thrown out here. I'd love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.